everyone. Art Ekman along with David Bailey for round 2 of the World Supercross Series from Bercy in Paris. It's known worldwide as the greatest show in Supercross.
That it is. I remember being there at the first one in 1984. In fact, in '84, they had 2 of them there. There's nothing quite like looking out there and seeing all those screaming French, all those air horns blasting. It's as loud as it gets.
The race format will have 2 heats, 2 semifinals, and of course the last chance qualifier, with 3 riders qualifying from each heat, 4 from each semifinal, and 2 riders transfer out of the last chance qualifier for a 16-rider field here in Bercy. We'll have a 20-lap main event with the winner winning $15,000 each night here in Bercy. This is the first of 3 consecutive nights of racing in Paris, and they always have a unique way of bringing the stars in.
They do it different every year. I remember Johnson came down in a mechanical hand one year. In fact, they had us all come from Tokyo, and they were telling the fans that we did miss the plane. We wouldn't be there till the following night, and the fans started to boo and whistle, and then we came out in a torn-up Spirit of St. Louis plane on fire. It was pretty cool.
Well, the spirit is really overwhelming for 3 consecutive nights, and it inspires these riders to great competitive performances as we get ready for heat number 1. Only 3 riders make it to the main event out of the 2 qualifying heats. That puts a lot of pressure on these guys.
Well, the qualifying process here has always been brutal. Even the best riders, myself, we've all gone to the semis and last chances here, and now that they only take 3, it makes it even tougher.
Here in the first heat, Larry Ward, Jeremy McGrath, Jimmy Button, Ryan Hughes, Mikel Bichon, Ezra Lusk, John Dowd, Brian Swink, the American riders in the first heat. Then you add the Japanese youngster Kiyoshi and the Frenchman Vialli, and a true international field to round it out to have great competition. They do have an interesting card girl to start this race that they don't have in AMA racing.
A little bit different, yeah.
Okay, we're off in the first heat. Jimmy Button, number 36, the first into the opening turn with Hughes, but he goes wide, and Larry Ward takes advantage of it. Larry Ward, who took 2nd place in the first round in Japan, is our leader here in the opening heat. This track here at Bercy is short and tight. Monster whoops that'll be popular for passing and crashing.
There goes Larry Ward to that first section of whoops. I can tell you from this angle, they don't look that bad, but I've been down on the track, and they just about made me sick to my stomach. These things are so deep in practice, the guys are getting stuck in them.
You have a series of tabletops before going into a tunnel underneath the stands, right here. Look at the speed bumps. Boy, you get a lot of reaction from your bike when you hit one of those. It bounces up pretty good.
Well, you can see they go into the tunnels just to get a little bit longer lap time. Larry Ward already got a pretty good lead as they come back out onto the main field. The reason they go in there is because the floor in the stadium is pretty small, so to make a good action and good racing for the riders, it's fantastic. They put it up on the screen so the spectators can see while they disappear.
In practice, that area underneath the stands is very, very slick. Here's the Dunlop jump finish line, and then we're back into the whoops.
Get a closer look at how tough those are. As soon as you get the front wheel turned in there just a little bit and start going side to side, you just about have to come to a stop.
Vialli in 2nd, Jimmy Button in 3rd. You've got Jeremy McGrath in 4th. Jeremy McGrath is on a new 97 Honda. It's a little stiff, a little rigid, and let's face it, Jeremy has not been working out that much. He's not up to racing form quite yet. It's good to see him up in 4th position.
Well, his job here at these races is to put on a show, do the best he can, and try to stay healthy during the offseason. If anything, he puts all of his focus on the U.S. Supercross season.
Larry Ward way out in front as he has no problems at all with that vicious whoop section. He's riding his 96 Honda of Troy bike. They haven't got their 97s yet, but this is not really an off-season for Larry Ward. Ward, our leader, will be back with heat number 1 action in a moment. Welcome back to qualifying action, heat number 1 from Paris. Frederic Vialli, the French hero in this particular heat, crashed, and Jimmy Button now is in 2nd place, number 36, with Jeremy McGrath in a qualifying position with number 9, Ryan Hughes, the very aggressive Hughes, right behind him. Whoa, Lyle is the first casualty in that whoop section, David.
I think it's going to be the first of many to go down in that whoop section. See if we can get another look at it. Right here, it looks like, oh,
ouch.
It's pretty lucky to get out of that okay. Like I said, as soon as your front wheel gets turned just a little bit, front wheel just stays in between those two bumps, and you go right over the handlebars. Look at Lust having trouble there. He almost comes to a complete stop to try to regain his momentum again.
Okay, Jeremy McGrath has moved into second place in front of Jimmy Button now. Way out in front, incidentally, Larry Ward. Button's next opponent right now looks like Ryan Hughes for that final qualifying position. Interesting to note that with Damon Bradshaw's knee injury in Japan in round number 1, Jimmy Button got the call on Wednesday night to report Thursday in Paris to take advantage of that open spot.
He's doing a pretty good job with it so far, but Ryan Hughes is tough. Always tough towards the later stages of the race.
Oh,
it's not over yet.
A bucking Bronco going into those speed bumps for Jeremy McGrath.
You know, this is one of the tightest Supercross tracks there is as far as on the floor, but once they go into the tunnel, it's one of the highest speed Supercross tracks. These guys are getting almost up into 4th gear through some of those straightaways.
Larry Ward, our leader, number 6, on the final lap of our first qualifying heat. Ward has many friends here in Paris. He loves racing here.
Oh, it's obvious, too. The guy is, if they had all the races here, he just might be the Supercross champion. He's had so much luck here.
I mentioned it's not an off season for him because Larry Ward in 3 nights here in Paris can make more money than he does all season long in America.
Well, if he wins all 3 nights, that'd be 45 grand. He's off to a good start.
Larry Ward, the winner of our first qualifying heat. Jeremy McGrath, an impressive 2nd place after not racing in Japan. Jimmy Button nailing down 3rd, taking advantage of his opportunity. That means a lot of talent going on to the semifinal round. Ryan Hughes and Mikel Pichon, along with Ezra Lusk and John Dowd. We go to Andre Bouchard.
You just won the first race with maybe 100 meters difference between you and the following riders. Everything is going well.
Yeah, you know, that Honda Troy CR250 couldn't work any better, and I'm just glad to be back in Paris, and I'm really glad to get another one of these coat towels. These are my favorites.
Getting set for heat number 2 now with Jeff Emig, Mike Craig, Damon Huffman, Greg Albertine, Phil Lawrence, and the French favorite, Sebastian Tortelli. Number 31 is Mike Metzger from the United States.
It's always pretty nerve-wracking, too, to be in the 2nd heat. You see the pace, how fast and furious it is, and the heat just before you. And you go out there, you know, that's the pace you've got to run after you've been sitting in your chair for an hour and a half. So it's practice.
There you have Albertine breaking the corner first, but patience pays right here in this first turn. Because if you take it slow and cut to the inside, you'll do what Emig just did. Emig, our leader here in heat number 2, with Albertine in 2nd place. Tortelli from France, Craig and Huffman battling it out on that bubble.
First time to the whoop section, and Albertine taking a look up the left side. Trying to get more momentum through there than Emig, but he didn't have it.
Boy, Tortelli looks strong, and he's bringing the French crowd alive here at the Bercy. Tortelli making a move on Albertine as they go inside the tunnel. He takes over 2nd place. Craig in 4th.
Pretty gutsy move, too. Right after he went past him, he moved all the way over to choose the line he wanted, and took the front wheel of Albertine with him.
Albertine moving back to 3rd, and Huffman is now in 5th behind Craig. Only the top 3 making it out of the heats. Directly to the main event. It will take 4 riders out of the semis. Here's a place for passing the whoops on this very, very tight track. Another place in and out of the tunnel.
Jeff Emig still so perfect out of the gate. This guy has spent more time in the lead, I think, than Jeremy McGrath, perhaps. Always out front. That's the best place to be, especially if they're only taking 3 riders. By the time they figure out a way around it, you just might still qualify for the main event.
Boy, do they jump into that corner, into the tunnel.
They put those little kickers all in there to kind of offset them, so it's really difficult to figure out whether you want to hit that, jump into the berm, or go tight. Have to square it off a little more, but
you get a lot of rebound.
There's plenty of choices when you go through there, and also that roost kills you. When you're going down those long straightaways, they pack that with a steamroller so the pieces of dirt that hit you are sharp. They hurt.
Not only that, but they roll up slabs. Tortelli having trouble in the whoops. Here comes Albertine on the outside, Craig in the middle. Ooh, Albertine and Tortelli collide.
Looks like he's still going to hang on to 2nd. Had to get a little physical to do it, but that's what happens. See, as soon as you lose your balance a little bit in that whoop section, it's just about all over.
You know, the crowds here in Paris love the outstanding American riders. They understand the American sport. They have their American heroes, but when a Frenchman Does a performance like this in Paris, they go nuts.
I don't think it could get any louder. And he's got to hear that too. Every time he makes a move or bumps elbows with somebody, or especially when he crosses the finish line, he's going to hear it from this crowd. Mike Craig chasing him down right now. Back to the whoops one more time. Look at Huffman back there, number 4. He's usually pretty strong through the whoops.
Albertine having some problems there in the whoops. He went down in practice as well in that same area. Emig, our leader. Back at Bercy in Paris, France. For round 2 of our World Supercross Series, Jeff Emig in the second qualifying heat. Emig, though, is getting some pressure as we come back from commercials. That's Tortelli, number 3.
And the lead Emig had just got dissolved. I think this battle for second, Huffman at the rear end of it has really closed the gap. Now Emig's got a lot of trouble. He's got enough riders to take him out of the qualifying position for the main.
You have Craig in 3rd place, Huffman in 4th. That's the bubble for qualifying directly to the main.
I don't know if Emig did that on purpose or not, but through that tight left, he just took his time, and Tortelli hit his back tire. Did a good job of reacting to that and not losing any time.
Emig, as you see, the 1 lap left on the card. Headed toward the final lap now with Tortelli right on his tail.
Tortelli cutting to the inside before the whoop section, hoping he can get a run at him. He's got to be careful, because if he tries to do anything and takes a different little interesting line, he's got Craig and Huffman right there to take the line away from him. So he's in a tight spot.
Right now it's Emig, Tortelli, and Craig to qualify for the main event. As we go into the tunnel for the last time in our second qualifying heat. Emig being very careful getting around that lapper. That lapper from Sweden, Mats Nielsen. And the crowd, watch him, anticipating a great battle with a Frenchman going into the last turn with Emig. The checkers are waving. Jeff Emig winning the second heat with Tortelli's second. Michael Craig also advancing to the main event. So that leaves guys like Albertine and Huffman, along with Metzger and Phil Lawrence, having to come back in the semifinals. So a possible showdown between Emig and McGrath in the main event is very possible now. Let's go to Henri.
It's good to be the boss, but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, the Kawasaki.
Tortelli.
Yeah, the Kawasaki was good that whole race. I caught a few lappers here and there, but overall, you know, I feel really good and really strong, and I think more than anything, I'm comfortable on the bike.
Getting set now for the first semifinal round. Guys like Albertine, Lusk, Dowd, and Lawrence to battle it out along with Ryan Hughes.
Everything about this Paris race is tight, jam-packed. You can see right there, look how close their handlebars are together. When they come off the line, bumping that can mess up your whole start. The starting line is pretty narrow, and the first turn is there before you know it. Everything here is just a sprint, a vicious pace, and a lot of physical is what it's going to come down to in the main event. You got to get physical and bump guys out of the way, because that's the only way to make the pass.
I have a feeling we're going to see a good deal of contact in that main event. Number 8 is Albertine. He's a can't-miss hero around here, being a former 3-time world motocross champion and is loved and adored. It's Albertine, number 8 into the corner. Number 9, Ryan Hughes, cutting it a little quicker, but Albertine has the outside speed. Ryan Hughes, number 9, and Albertine, number 8, battling it out. And both Yamahas right up there.
Looks like Hughes had the edge as he went to the first corner. Albertine made the same mistake he made in the heat by going wide. Then he tripled into the next corner and got back into the lead. You see, they steamrolled over those whoopie-doos, making them even tougher.
Yes, you had Dowd, Lusk, and Phil Lawrence on a Yamaha this year with Chaparral in 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions.
Ryan Hughes trying to dodge that roost.
Boy, they kick off that, and down goes Ryan Hughes. What a precarious place to go down. Such tight action. He gets dragged for a couple of feet there before he can get back on this bike.
He's got a lot of work to do to try to make it out of this qualifier. It looks like he'll be going to last chance. See the steamroller in between the heat races, they packed the track, and right there it got really slick. He lost the front wheel. You can see how hard he drove it into that corner for the bike to rebound like that. The rear end came completely off the ground. And he gets dragged a little bit more. makes his problems even worse. Now, by that time, his handlebars are probably bent, the front brake lever is probably bent, so he's going to have a tough time from here on out.
So it clears the way for the Yamaha guys. Phil Lawrence, John Dowd, and Ezra Lusk behind Albertine.
Through these tunnels, I've already mentioned how fast it is. Well, it's pretty much everyone just wants to take the straightest line possible. Look at the foot pegs. Look how close they get to the hay bale. They hook that plastic. They're going down for sure.
Unless, of course, there's an accident. It looks like all the front runners, with the exception of Ryan Hughes, will make it into the main event. Ryan, after slipping, is down in about 8th position right now. Unless there's some changes up front here, especially going through those vicious whoop sections. It looks like Ryan Hughes will have to go to the last chance qualifier, which is not a big disadvantage if you win the last chance qualifier or take second place, because it is such a narrow starting gate that you can start from almost anywhere there and get a good advantage in the main event.
Yeah, usually you're pretty much stuck way on the outside. The angle of the gate really favors the guys on the inside in the corner, but here it's a completely different story. So, plus you get more time out there on the racetrack, and Ryan gets more and more comfortable the longer he's out there. He sure as heck doesn't get tired.
Well, Albertine is way out in front of John Dowd, 14. Number 12 is Phil Lawrence. Whoa, look out. Albertine having some problems right there.
Riders must dread coming to this whoop section every lap. It's the toughest place on the racetrack, and he did a good job of saving that.
Especially with a slower rider, the Japanese youngster Kohashi. The 3 Yamahas still have to get through him if they want to advance. We'll be right back in a moment. Back to Bercy in Paris, France, for our first semifinal action. There's the battle for second place. Ezra Lusk doing a nice job of staying away from T-boning a teammate.
Lusk, who's had good momentum through the whoops, carries his momentum right to the inside, changes lines. Can't change speeds once you're in there, and trying to be nice to his teammate. It leaves him a little bit of room. Nice block pass. Ezra
Lusk doing a great job in a short period of time, coming from 4th to 2nd place behind Albertine. Time running out here in the semifinal round. Ryan Hughes, it looks like, is a definite. We're going to the last chance qualifier. Boy, when you get that far down in depth of talent, you know you're gonna have a great main event.
Well, also for Ryan, the bad news is he's got to ride all 4 races probably before the end of the night, and it's only the first night. So you can see physically it's going to really take its toll on everybody.
In essence, almost 2 main events in one evening.
Well, Ryan's one guy that can handle it, but I'm sure he gets tired of it after a while.
He's got the heart of a lion, that's for sure. Albertine, the winner of the semifinal round. And you can tell his popularity with the air horns going off. They even have a chainsaw sound maker up in the stands here tonight. Henri is with the former 3-time world champion.
What do you think what you could do in the main event now that you are qualified?
Well, as I said, there's a lot of fast riders out there, but my Suzuki's going fantastic. My mechanic Ian Harrison's really doing a good job, so I think top 5's a good position to finish.
Semi-final number 2 riders getting ready now to show their stuff, and there's quite a few guys in this round that need a good performance, like Mikhail Pichon, Brian Swink, also Damon Huffman, along with Cyril Port, a promising Frenchman. There's Huffman. Huffman disappointed, I would imagine, for just missing the qualifying in the first round. Number 4. Right next to him is Mikhail Pichon, number 7. Pichon resting, did not go to Japan. He's with his new mechanic, Tony Berluti, on a brand new team, the Suzuki team, and really feels good on this new bike.
I'm just excited to see him on a 250.
So is he.
I've seen him race here on the 125. He was pretty spectacular. 250 is a whole different story.
He's a big favorite here. And our second semifinal round is underway. All kinds of problems for Damon Huffman, number 4. He gets hooked up. Look out, he might have to go to the last chance qualifier with his teammate Ryan Hughes. It's Port that's out in front on the Honda.
As they came into the corner, it looked like Pichon was the one that got bumped around quite a bit. That caused kind of a chain reaction, went over and took out Huffman and a couple others.
During that melee, we've got a new leader. Miska Altonen, number 30, in the lead. 27 is Brian Swink giving the challenge. Mikel Pichon is also in the battle. Altonen now behind Brian Swink. Swink making the move. Pichon in third. Pichon cutting to the inside, trying to get Altonen right here. Coming out of the tunnel, Altonen bobbles Pichon. He's in second place. Altonen not ready for that double.
Well, he came out, he had a different rhythm. He rolled over the first one and tried to jump the middle two. I don't know if he made a mistake or if he meant to do that. It looks like in the end it would come out about the same, but either way it worked out for the better for Mikel Pichon. Now I just wonder if he can catch up and put a move on Swink.
But these number 25 having all kinds of problems in those whoops before we went through to this section.
Pichon seems to be the fastest guy right now in this race. He caught right up the Swink as I was saying it. He's already got the pressure on. As they come out of this tunnel, the crowd's going to love to see him right there.
Mikel Pichon.
Taking a look at the inside, just trying to keep Swink guessing. Anytime you're this close to a guy and you feel like you're a little faster, you tend to move around a little bit, try to keep that guy guessing.
Here comes Pichon, the challenge on Swink. The crowd's going crazy. He gets into the corner quickly. Swink puts on the gas, but Pichon takes over the lead. You know, Pichon has told me he never has raced that well in Paris, but it's a fact. He's got that Suzuki tuned in. Returning to Bercy in Paris, France, in our second semifinal qualifying round, Mikel Pichon, the local favorite who lives about 30 miles outside of Le Mans, France, about an hour's drive from Paris, is out in front. But this is the battle for second and third. Number 27 is Brian Swink. And there you see Port in third. They'll take the top 4 riders out of this event to go to the main event.
Swink looked great in the first couple of laps until Pichon right there came around, passed him, and pulled away. Now he's just out there entertaining the fans, but Swink really dropped off the pace, and now he's got a lot of company. He could, if he made a mistake in the whoop section, which always could happen before the finish, he could drop out of the qualifying position here.
What a nice showing by Mikel Pichon in his first competitive outing on a Suzuki. So Pichon advancing along with Brian Swink, and then the 2 Frenchmen. In the last chance qualifier, it was Ryan Hughes and Damon Huffman making it into the main after all kinds of problems in the qualifying heats. One of the more popular events in Europe Supercross are jump contests. They used to put them at the end of shows as a walkout. The fans then wouldn't storm the exits after the main event. But here in Paris, as well as Barcelona, they're so popular that everyone stayed. And now they put them in the program here in Paris. Port is our first contestant. The fans just absolutely crave this, and it wouldn't surprise me to see a special category someday in jumping. He opens it up with the popular Knack Knack, made famous, of course, by Jeremy McGrath.
Takes his left leg and he pushes on the foot peg and shoves that bike out to the side. He gets it out there pretty sideways. That's a lot like what Jeremy does.
The Thies, another Frenchman, number 25. In fact, all of the participants will be from France in the jump contest here this evening. The American Mike Metzger, who really made some of these jumps famous through the magazines and through personal appearances and so forth, broke his leg earlier in the qualifying round. And he will not be able to jump and make a representation for the American riders. Little heel clicker. Decided against it the second time and jarred himself on the landing.
Well, he kind of threw off his timing there by jumping that other jump. He came up short. He's trying to do a nothing.
Still, you put it in slow motion, and the spread eagle looks pretty good.
Pretty amazing if you stop action it up there, but the landing was a little ugly, and he just about missed the grip.
Isn't that amazing, though, when you're up in the air and you think you're doing so great until you see the videotapes and you say, well, that wasn't that good at all.
Oh, yeah. I'm coming into the pits after practice going, you know, to Rick and my teammates, see how sideways I was? And they're going, I don't know. Maybe I missed that lap. And you see it on video, it doesn't look like anything.
See what Guietti has to do. Number 9, a popular 125 rider in these parts, the heel clicker.
Jumps the whole plateau, lands on the downside. That was nice. Trying to get the crowd into it.
What do you think about making this a special category?
Well, I think that's what it should be. It's definitely got to be separate. And I think that the fact that the American riders have elected not to do this is perhaps a stand. I wouldn't be surprised if Dave Stevenson, who represents a lot of the American riders, suggests they didn't do that. Just, I mean, they can't afford to lose a Jeremy McGrath or a Ryan Hughes or Damon Huffman. They just can't.
One-legged fender kick. Here's a popular 125 rider here in France, Edgar Torrenteras. And part of his act, as well as a couple of others, includes a little musical dance.
Trying to think he's going to get a few extra points. Hey, you know, at least he gets all the girls in there with him.
Well, the last time I danced in those boots, it wasn't that easy.
I didn't try doing too much dancing in mine. I just, I can imagine it'd be pretty tough. Now he's got one of the girls with him.
Imagine sooner or later they're going to have a time limit on each act. Obviously, Edgar is getting more time than the other contestants.
He's milking it.
A lot more attention, too. I'm not sure this has been rehearsed the way she looks.
I just hope he doesn't try to jump that plateau with her up there.
It'll be interesting to see if he can actually jump now, since that's what the crowd usually
well, he better have a good jump after all this. Big workup.
Okay, he's getting serious now. The goggles are down. He's playing the crowd. You know, this could be very much like skiing, where they went into freestyle jumping and water skiing, as well as freestyle on the slopes jumping. It could get to a point where it's pretty dangerous.
Well, I think it'd be dangerous for the top guys. I mean, it's so much for them to focus on just trying to race, let alone stick their feet through the handlebars. Imagine that. Couldn't get your foot back. That's pretty dangerous.
I think it's a great attraction. Oh, look at that. The side saddle one-handed.
That's amazing.
Watch it in slow motion. Oh, my goodness.
Both feet and one hand. Stop action that. Doesn't even look possible.
Amazing. So he met the expectations of his pre-jump act.
I'll say.
Hook of the ankles on the bars.
He was pretty inspired before this thing.
There's a better angle coming up, I'm sure, as he does his dance away.
He's definitely a showman. I mean, he's got to be a guy that you would expect to give somebody like Mike Metzger a real run for his money in an event like this. Just the freestyle. It adds a lot to the show, but it does seem like to me it should be something completely separate from the racing. I don't mean separate in the event. I think it belongs during the event. It adds a lot of excitement to it. But as far as the athletes, I think it should be somebody different. I don't see any reason to see McGrath out there trying to do stick both feet off the side of the bike and miss the main event because he crashed.
And actually now Edgar Torrenteras is the winner by proclamation of the audience. Not even a sound meter, but he was the best jumper here this evening. There's no question about that. A beautiful knack-knack.
You can see right there how sideways he was able to get the bike, still able to get his foot back over. Edgar took that a step farther and took his hand off too. Plus I think he got the crowd a little more into it before he went.
Now some amazing talent displayed here in the jump-off contest. We'll be back with tonight's main event. Welcome back to Paris. Art Ekman and David Bailey bringing you the action of our second round of the World Supercross Series. Let's take a look at 125 highlights before getting to the 250 main event. Two Americans to keep your eyes on. David Pingree, who's won quite a few races. Already 3 motos in his career here in Paris. Craig Decker, coming back from a serious broken back injury of last year, is going to test his skills to see what that 97 season might hold for him. Also, a couple of riders to keep your eyes on. Number 3, Roncada. Number 2, Villeman. Both will be racing in 125 Supercross action in the United States next year. There's Pingree taking a top turn.
Looked like Pingree had the whole shot, went a little bit wide. Decker may have got under him there.
But in these highlights, it was Stefan Roncada, the hope for Honda of Troy in 125 action. In fact, Honda of Troy had their eyes opened by Johnny O'Mara on this particular rider. Johnny O has had quite a few good times here in Paris.
We sure have. We're here for the first one in '84, and it just got better.
In the first moto for the 125s, Decker number 1 and Pingree number 10 collided. Pingree losing it in the whoops in front of Decker, putting them out of contention. And it was David Villeman who went on to victory. It's going to be interesting to see him compete with the Americans here in the Supercross next year. In the second moto, Pingree gets to the hole shot first, but look at number 3 on the inside. Playing it patient, Roncada takes over the lead.
That's a classic Johnny O move right there. I wonder if Johnny said something to him about playing it smart through that first corner.
Villeman number 2. Pingree in front. Villeman collides with Decker.
You can see that coming. Villeman just tried to cut it to the inside, had no room.
Decker racing amazingly well coming back from that broken back, but lots of bad luck. Roncada taking the checkered flag in the second moto. After the first of 3 evenings in Paris, Pingree has the edge for the title of Prince of Bercy. The 250s next. The highlight of the evening in Bercy here in Paris, the main event for the 250s. At 125 class we saw highlights earlier of, they don't make any money at that at all. They get a little appearance money for the Americans, but it's just for the title really.
You know, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. Jeremy and Emick start side by side, 1 and 2.
And this is for $15,000 on the first night of 3 nights here in Paris.
A little bit of bragging rights, too.
Jeremy McGrath winning the World Supercross title in '94 and '95. '95 capping maybe the greatest year ever for a rider.
And Jeremy's mechanic is somebody a different face. Skip Norfolk didn't have a passport, didn't make it to this round, and he had a friend of his doing the wrenching.
Yeah. Lou Lawrence Lewis, a friend of Jeremy's. In fact, Jeremy, I saw him in the pits, but even had a wrench in his hand at one time, trying to tighten up a chain. Jeremy gets nosed out. It's Ryan Hughes, number 9. He's got the power on the outside. So he doesn't use the patient move of the inside like Emick. He went to the outside with the power.
How amazing is that, too? Coming from the last chance qualifier, his night has been crummy since he went out there. Now he's leading the main.
Well, we said he had the heart of a lion. Ryan Hughes in the whoops. Greg Albertine, number 8. Number 3 is Tortelli.
Larry Ward also in good position. He's ahead of McGrath.
And then you've got Michael Craig also in front of Jeremy. Might re-emphasize, Jeremy's on a totally new bike. And it's just a little rigid. They haven't really broken things in yet. And without Skip Norfolk there, how do you adjust?
Well, it's tough. That's a combination that's been tough to beat. This is a fast pace. These guys are starting to give themselves a little bit of room from those hay bales where they're running so close earlier.
Number 3, Tortelli, the French hope. And a freight train until a little bobble here and there by Hughes. Albertine goes to the inside. Larry Ward in good position. Albertine still in second. Hughes holding him off. They go into the tunnel, though.
Albertine doing the right thing. He went in there and tried to get inside of Hughes. Hughes would have no part of it. Albertine actually lost a little bit of time, so now he's got pressure from Tortelli.
Great competition in round 2 of the World Supercross Series. This one from Paris, France.
This is a great battle. A big freight train out front with most of the fastest guys. It's with the lack of Huffman and Emick only. And you got Jeremy McGrath tail into this pack, and the anticipation of him coming from behind is certainly there.
And I kind of expect with the tightness of this track, at least Emick, if not Huffman, to be in contention before the race is over with. There you see Tortelli, number 3, in front of Jeremy McGrath. McGrath has 6 moto wins in the 250 here. He swept all 3 last year here in Paris. Also has a couple of wins as a 125 rider here in Paris. So he's enjoyed good times here.
He's certainly comfortable with the surroundings and the way they designed the track, the soil. Anytime you have that kind of success, you always enjoy coming back, and no matter what it takes to get you to the main, once you get in the main, you certainly find your rhythm, and I'm sure he will.
Hughes now getting some authentic pressure from Albertine.
Albertine is the king of applying pressure, and he's so inconsistent. To have both he and Ryan Hughes out front, guys that you really couldn't guess which way they're going to go and what they're going to try next, how aggressive they're going to be. I'm sure Larry Ward's probably puzzled as what his next move is going to be.
Oh, Jeremy having a little bit of trouble in those doubles right before they go into the tunnel. So we've got Hughes, Albertine, Larry Ward, very close. And then it's Tortelli and McGrath.
think Larry Ward can glance over his shoulder and know that McGrath's coming, and he's got to figure just on past experience that Jeremy's going to be the toughest competitor in this field. If he can get around these two guys in front of him, put some space between himself and McGrath, he'd have a great shot at winning these.
Not the only changes on these bikes, which are 96 bikes at this moment, have been some in the forks. There have been some changes in the forks. Kawasaki's got a new concept. Suzuki has a new bracket between the front forks. They say it adds stability to the turning.
Everyone's trying to make their bike a little bit more rigid. When you look at that whoop section down on the field, you actually get a chance to walk down there and see how deep they are and how fast they go by. No wonder they're trying to beef these bikes up.
Hughes the leader, but not by much. We'll be back. Welcome back to Bercy in Paris. Round 2 of the World Supercross Series, the first of 3 consecutive nights. And while we are away, unfortunately, Ryan Hughes went down. Albertine is now in front with his Team Suzuki unit. It's Ward in second place. Sebastian Tortelli coming on in third, number 3. And, of course, the French fans going wild with that scenario.
Well, we haven't had anybody this competitive, this exciting since Jean-Michel Bale used to race here. They got plenty to cheer about right now, and still Jeremy McGrath is within striking distance. You can see him just back there behind Hughes.
Boy, Ward is really putting the heat on Albertine as well. Can Albertine hold on? He's another favorite here in Paris, especially after winning 3 world championships. To the inside, Ward. Oh, we almost got him boxed in.
Oh, that was close. And then Albertine, I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but he swung that back end out a little bit over the jump just to make it a little tougher, a little less room for Larry Ward.
Into the tough whoops. Tortelli having problems on the right side. But look at Larry Ward. Ward moving into the lead. Albertine, though, staying close, not giving way. Hughes is making a move on Tortelli. Oh, what a dual battle we've got here. Out front, Larry Ward and Albertine. And then for third place, Tortelli will get along with Hughes.
This is a scary fast pace. You can see these guys are rubbing elbows. They're running right next to the hay bales. Back there coming out of the doubles, looked like Albertine almost went off the racetrack, and he saved it. Now another mistake by Larry Ward.
Close action. Albertine is right there. Ward has had a phenomenal offseason, if you'd call it that. He won in Barcelona. He won in Madrid. He took a second place in Japan in the first round of this series. And, of course, in Italy, before the Motocross the Nations, he held off a very strong Jeremy McGrath to win the fast cross near Milan.
Uh-oh, mistake.
Ward coming off the speed bump.
That section's so narrow, and they carry so much speed into these corners.
Take another look.
Well, his back end had hopped up in the air. He couldn't get any braking done because the rear wheel was off the ground, and he ran right into the hay bales. Great balance to be able to keep that bike back on the racetrack and preserve second.
To make that sharp a turn, David, you've got to use the rear brake.
Well, you've got to use both brakes, and actually when the back end gets hopped up in the air, you sort of pitch it out there just like you do off the jumps, and that gets half your turn made already before you get there.
Here comes the freight train. Tortelli having problems. Tortelli moving over in front of Emig. Emig, he slows down. McGrath passes Emig. So we've got Albertine, we've got Ward, and we've got Tortelli, number 3.
Well, Emig must have had a great pace going to catch and pass Jeremy McGrath.
Hughes in third, right in front of Tortelli.
He's in the wrong place at the wrong time to get taken out by Tortelli, but he's back up and running.
Here's Lust, number 11, Button 36. Damon Huffman, number 4, after a bad start, starting his charge really right now. Jeremy McGrath has a lot of fast riders to hold off in 5th place.
He still has a chance to win this thing, but the time is winding down, and he's lost a little time to the leader, so I wouldn't give his chances quite what they were a few laps ago, but anything can happen here in Paris. I've seen it before.
Albertine, our current leader. Larry Ward, though, not far behind as they go back into that whoop section. You know, the real problem for riders on this track, you come around to this whoop section too soon.
Every time you get close to it, you're like, okay. It's very difficult. It takes all of your attention.
You just get out of it, and the relief just doesn't last that long. Albertine, our leader, and we'll be back with more in a moment. We are back in the main event, round 2 of the World Supercross Series. Art Ekman and David Bailey. This one from Paris, France. Bercy in Quite an auditorium for indoor racing, that's for sure. Greg Albertine, he's like a returning hero after being a 3-time world champion in the motocross scene. Very popular here in Europe. He is our leader. Hughes, who was leading, as you saw number 9 go by. Here's Emig trying to fight back after stalling on the whoops.
You know what I'm noticing is that McGrath is falling further and further behind. So that new bike that his friend is wrenching on for him, I don't think it's quite up to par with everybody else's. That would have to be his excuse. When the talent's this close, that's all it takes to really be off the pace. And Larry Ward is doing the right thing by keeping the pressure on Albertine.
Ward, number 6 on the Honda of Troy. Right behind Greg Albertine, Team Suzuki. This is one of Albertine's better Supercross appearances so far.
No, he's looking fantastic. He's been aggressive, and he's had to get physical to work his way to the front. He's not going to let it go. It's going to be a fight till the end, but Larry Ward is definitely going to keep him honest.
Ryan Hughes has moved in front of Tortelli in that battle for 3rd. Here's Albertine coming into the tunnel.
It's one of the faster sections on the racetrack, so it appears as though he's got a bigger lead than he really does. Once they move into the tight stuff, Ward's actually pretty close. And trying as hard as he can to keep up.
He is riding hard as they're approaching a lapper right now.
Great shot from overhead. You can see how much momentum they carry through those big bowl turns.
Larry Ward trying to catch up to number 8 in the whoop section. Ward has gone through these whoops beautifully all evening long. Hughes in 3rd place. Tortelli in 4th place. That's another single battle within the war.
Actually, both those guys made up a little bit of time on Ward that last lap, so their pace is definitely quick.
Brian Hughes, number 9, has been pumping some iron in the offseason. He joined the list of those hiring personal trainers, which a lot of the top competitors now feel they have to do to stay up top.
Well, if you look at all the other sports, everyone's got a coach but the motocross guys, and a trainer really acts as not only a motivator but a little bit of a coach. They notice things about you that's simple stuff. You go, oh shoot, yeah, I forgot to do that, and they just remind you. So these guys don't take their chance anymore. You see 2 laps to go, and Ryan, he's got a lot of pressure from Tortelli. I'm impressed.
He really does. Tortelli's running very smooth. Hughes with a bad start in Japan in the 1st round. Hadn't raced in Steel City. Took a Colorado vacation. Now he's back on the track, and here's the battle for 1st place. Greg Albertine along with Larry Ward. Ward has closed the gap now. Looks like he wants to make the move with less than 2 laps remaining.
This is what you've got to do. Keep the pressure on. Force that guy in the lead to ride as hard as he can. Take a few chances and worry about what line he's going to take, because he might sneak in there and get it.
Last lap. Larry Ward is just hounding Albertine.
This is what the fans came to see. There's no way to tell who's going to win this thing.
Oh, getting a little squirrely there in the whoops, trying to catch up. Larry Ward. Ward pulling a wheel up there. He's showing himself to Albertine. Albertine, though, going into the tunnel now. What a fierce battle.
There's not much room in there. They're just about 4th gear. Larry Ward's got different lines. He's trying to carry more speed, keep the pressure on. Albertine's got to be nervous.
Take off in there, you'll hit a steam pipe. Albertine into the final corner. Oh, Albertine loses it. He's off the track. Oh, he handed the victory to Larry Ward in the final turn. Larry Ward coasting across the finish line. Here comes the battle now for 2nd. It's Hughes, and Tortelli makes the podium. Another look.
Right there, it looks like as he took off that jump, he just turned the front wheel, and it washed out, and he's just going for a ride right now. He has no control over this bike. Lucky he didn't get hurt.
Not much room between the track and the wall.
Out onto the cement. Look at him over there. He goes completely over the top of that. Lucky he didn't go over the handlebars. As he lands out there on the cement into that steel grating.
Oh, he was out of control over that little bump.
Yeah, 3 guys standing right there. Could have been even a little bit more surprised if he'd landed right into him. Lucky for everybody.
So Albertine now losing his opportunity for his first Supercross victory on the world circuit. Larry Ward with fist in the air.
Well, you can say he lucked out, but another way to look at that is he kept the pressure on and forced Albertine into a mistake.
So Ward's 3rd win of his career here in Paris. Ezra Luska 6th. Bichon showing well in his 7th. Jeremy McGrath slipping till 10th.
Larry Ward.
So Ward now with a second and a first in the 2 first rounds of the World Supercross Series. His 4th win on foreign soil this year. Let's listen in.
Very tough race.
Yeah, it was. I definitely didn't get the start I wanted, and Greg Albertine rode one hell of a race. I've never seen him ride a Supercross like that, and it was fun actually. There was 4 or 5 guys up there dicing the whole time, and I got in the lead and made some mistakes, but you know, Greg rode good. I put a lot of pressure on those last 2 laps and forced him to make a mistake, and I'm real happy to win here again in Bercy.